meeting because we have some other things to do. It's 4:09 PM. Today is
12th.
Thursday, October 12th. Meeting is being recorded audio and visually, just so everybody knows. The first order of business is to approve minutes from last meeting.
I'll move them.
Move them.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. We'll skip over street sign requests and wait for Freddie. We did get a crosswalk request, but we have to wait
Wait
for
for
Freddie.
Freddie on that one, too, yeah.
All right. Let's just skip over, because obviously we have a lot of members of the audience here. Let's just open it up to the audience and why they're here.
Yep.
Does anybody want to talk? Mr. Mariani?
Yep. Hey, Rich Mariani, Gates Pond Road. Should I stand up or?
No, you can sit. We're relaxed here.
Yeah.
Our concern is the traffic exiting Gates Pond Road onto Route 62. Particularly if you're turning left, you have to go across 5 lanes of traffic, and you can sit there sometimes for 10 minutes. And Chief, I don't know what the situation's been for accidents up there. We've seen 1 or 2, but I've seen a lot of near misses, a lot of hand gestures out of windows by
Yep.
frustrated people. It just seems like if the state could study it, especially now, with that mall going full blast over there. And let's see if a light is warranted.
Okay, so we are way ahead of you on that game. I actually had Mass DOT out here last year. They said they will not do much for that intersection because the town of Berlin signed off on it with the development. That's all agreed upon with the development from the town of Berlin. If we wanted to put a traffic light up, it would be between $500,000 and $750,000. They would be more than happy to accommodate us and make it a right turn only out of Gates Pond Road, which is their only mediation for the problem. But then they said the other problem is there's no turnaround for that right turn only. So then you'd end up creating that traffic problem at the gas station or at the BJ's entrance. So the state has been involved with that intersection. We're not getting far with them, other than the fact that they said if we want a light, we can pay the $500,000, $750,000. And even if the state was to turn around and say, yes, we'll put a traffic light in there, it's 5 years out.
The original plan was, when mall was coming in.
Was voted on by the
was
town.
to put a
Yeah,
light there.
yeah, it never made it
All
through.
of a sudden,
Yeah, the signed documents don't have a traffic light there.
I think it's important to understand that the town's position was that it needed to be evaluated, and if the state would allow a traffic light, we would push for that as part of the mitigation. But the state said, no, we didn't meet the warrant. Any of the traffic counts that were suggested and the proximity to the 495 ramps negated that opportunity. So I think the state's being disingenuous if it suggests that we drove that decision. They drove that decision.
Yeah.
They drove the decision, we signed it.
I mean, we didn't have much choice. Now, there's been a corridor study for Route 62 by Central Mass, and they identified that as a strategic problem still. And, I'm perfectly willing to go back to Central Mass and say,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. CMRPC is our next best option.
they helped us, they're there to help us. So, I can go back to Sujata and say,
Yeah, because when I talked to Mass
how
DOT,
do we raise this question?
when I talked to Mass DOT, I said, we are famous for putting roundabouts and rotaries up all over the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This is the one place that actually needs one.
Okay.
And they kind of chuckled at that because they know. I mean, you look at we have two down at Reese Circle and South Street and River Road, and it's like, okay, how do we have 2 in South Berlin, but we can't have one where 80% of our traffic is? And they explained it was because of the multiple lanes, the turning lanes, and the highway was too close to the intersection to put a rotary in. But to me, that's like the absolute ideal place to have a rotary.
Well,
right there.
And they themselves considered circles at the ramps for both, directions. So, again,
Yeah.
we may want to push them a little harder, because it isn't that simple, you know? There's got to be a solution to this, because we're talking
Yeah.
about risk, significant risk.
Yeah, so the accidents we have been significant. I mean, we're not going to deny that.
A number of them there.
Yeah, we've had a number of accidents over the years. They have been significant. Unfortunately, to my honest opinion, 90% of them are avoidable. Some are blowing stop signs coming off of Gates Pond Road on a 62. Now, the most recent one we had, a car made a left-hand turn in front of a motorcyclist, avoidable, you know, and technically nothing to do other than it was at an intersection. But really, it's driver inattention. I mean, these things are literally killing us.
Oh, you don't think
Yeah.
it was frustration?
No, it's not.
They weren't annoyed after waiting for 4 minutes?
No, it's looking down the phone and driving through the stop sign and getting T-boned by a tractor trailer.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just one incident. My car was totaled at that intersection. I had the right of way on 62.
Yeah.
So the person who came out was obviously multitasking.
Yeah,
So Tim, I have an idea about a turnaround. You know, I've always looked at Highland Commons and said, why do they have 2 driveways? And that second driveway is just incomprehensible, the one that's closest to Berlin.
yeah.
Why wouldn't you put a rotary there to serve as a turnaround, have an parallel access road along 62 for Gates
Yeah.
Pond? Just bring it around at
Yeah.
that intersection.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I think CMRPC would have to, because then you go to another town.
So what Central Mass said to us was the Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP, which, like Eric is suggesting, works. Well, where the hell is he going?
He doesn't want to be in the front.
He's going to make the loop and come sit next to you.
He's going to the rotary. Yeah, he's going through the rotary. Already saw all these people and said, I'm in the back.
Right.
He didn't want to make a left-hand turn.
It's just
by
like
circle.
school.
Yeah, I know.
So
You went around the road.
they did the corridor study. They identified 3 issues: 5 corners, Route 62 and Gates Pond Road, and the center. The center was sidewalk driven. 5 corners is a complex issue, which is going to take some time. But the Transportation Improvement Program is the federal income that comes to the Commonwealth, and the districts, we're District 3, gets a certain amount of money available, and they identify projects for the TIP, which go out 5 years, like Eric has said. So you try to get on the TIP, and then your project comes up. And they said that they thought we were high priority for a TIP project, because we haven't had a TIP project. And so it's justifiable in that regard. And that those are problematic points. So, you know, I think what we'll do is get Sujatha and some of the transportation folks out and say, okay, let's talk more seriously about the TIP in regard to both those spots, the 5 corners and the Gates Pond Road, because those are the 2 that really are the problematic ones. I think Complete Streets will help us with the Center Village stuff in terms of sidewalks and stuff.
We've actually started
You're doing some good stuff with that, yeah, so.
They didn't identify Pleasant Street as a problem?
Again, it doesn't meet the warrant. You've got to have a level of service. The LOC has to be deficient enough, and when they did the counts for us,
They just did count.
Right.
Yeah, they weren't high enough.
they're not high enough.
How can they not be high?
You've really got
I
to
know.
have a level of service that's significantly, you know, like D or F, and we just don't get there.
Yeah.
And part of the problem right now, at least theoretically, is the intersection at 495 and
Right.
290, which hopefully is going to be corrected and have some relief for us in terms of the number of cars.
Yeah, they're saying late spring of '24 now.
Yeah, so.
Is that the target?
The target was actually this October,
Yeah.
but that got pushed out to spring of '24. So we have those speed signs until basically Thanksgiving Day weekend, and they're going to pull them out. They're only going to pull them out because they're going to be in the way of the DPW, so.
I've been
Yeah.
watching, as I harrow, I stop by the cemetery and I watch the sign and I'm thinking, okay, how many of you bastards are traveling so damn fast? And they're all 35, 36, 37. There was a trailer truck that was 40 the other
Yeah.
day. But I sat there and said, they aren't going,
Yeah.
like.
It's just a steady stream, and
Yeah.
it's beyond, it's not Berlin.
Right.
You know, we're not Framingham, you know.
No,
you
8,000
know.
cars a day is a lot of
Yeah,
cars.
yeah.
Is that what, that's Pleasant
On the
Street?
peak, yeah,
Yeah, it was, when I started, I think it was 5.
yeah.
I think that counts, I want to go back to some Fun Mall days, I think it was 5.
Yeah,
That was after Solomon Pond Mall opened.
right, and now that Waze directs them that
Yeah.
way,
Yeah, we had the same issue with Carterville,
Yeah.
Highland Street, Carterville. Lancaster Road, not so much. We still have a lot of commuting traffic over Lancaster Road. But yeah, Waze has really knocked
Yeah.
us. And I mean, we actually went as far as contacting Foxborough PD and asking them, how do you get Waze and Google Maps to take you off? And they're like, it's like basically an act of Congress and it has to meet a certain threshold, which we would never meet. So we cannot override Waze. Like I always know when something's going on 117 in Bolton because
right, all of a sudden.
because all of a sudden Carterville's got car after car after car after car.
Right.
And, and I think when they did the 117 project back a few years ago, a lot of people realized that, oh, wow, look at it, there's Route 62. Why am I sitting on 117 all day?
This one's a straight shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I can just skirt behind everybody and I can get into Marlboro without even hitting the highway.
I think it would
So,
help us though, if they can put some information on the highway 495. and tell them to
so
use-
there's a sign southbound up prior to
In
Route 2.
Littleton. Yep.
Yeah, that says to use Route 2 to 190 to 290 versus staying on the highway.
It's sitting on the median side just before you get to Route 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they actually, they did that for us.
Here too, though, when I contacted the
Yeah.
DOT, they were going to put one at 62, they said, please don't use 62, go
Yeah.
down to 90.
Yeah,
Nothing else ever.
yeah, no, they actually did that for us, April, May?
Yeah.
April and May, I think, in their
Oh,
meeting.
but Route 2.
Up at Route 2.
Yeah. We've had meetings with Central Mass and Mass DOT since last February, I think. Well, every 8 weeks we had a meeting with them.
Yeah.
And I mean, so think about it, we started asking last February, and we finally got the signs the end of August, beginning of September, which is pretty quick for state standards. So everything's usually a year or two out, but they were able to come up and they gave us services pretty quick. We had 3 Mass DOT engineers on our meetings, which was, I figured we'd at least get like one assistant, but we actually had like the lead engineer out of the Worcester office, actually 2 of them, two lead engineers and then one of the workers. So they're actually great to work with, but they're limited with resources as well. So it took them, and I think the only reason why it took 4 months to get the signs up there is because they had to find them. There's nothing out there. There's so much construction in the state
Yeah.
that they actually, I'm not sure if they bought them brand new or if they, I don't know. But
Is there
somehow,
anything else open to us? Can we control any of the lights coming off?
no, the lights are all Mass DOT.
It's all DOT.
Yeah, it's Mass
Can we ask
DOT.
them to control that light by
Yeah, yeah,
backing it up onto the highway?
Yeah.
Basically,
yeah. They're all controlled by sensors,
uh,
all controlled by traffic sensors.
That's not something we could request.
No,
No.
no, I'm sure it falls under the regulations, federal
So this
regulations.
continues until construction is done, I guess? So-
That's best case scenario.
Yeah, best case scenario, because we still have the issue, even when the construction is done, we're still gonna have that following effect, because the bridge is not wide enough for a 4th lane. So the 4th lane doesn't start till 1,500 feet before the exit, or 1,200 feet, I know what to explain. But that bridge is not wide enough for a 4th lane. If that bridge was wide enough for a 4th lane, basically right after Route 62, there'd probably be 2 turning lanes on a 290 for miles.
So what is going to be created there?
2 lanes exiting off onto 290.
But right at the exit?
Yeah,
not
yeah,
back
yeah,
up to
yeah,
Swan.
1,200 feet ahead, yeah, versus a mile ahead.
How much on 290 itself, how long will the merging of 2 lanes be into?
It looks like they got it set up, it's gonna be like basically the middle lane and the right lane, you're gonna merge right onto, and everybody else is gonna be in the high-speed lane, or in the left lane at that point.
There's
So-
another bridge there as well.
Yeah, so I think all the traffic's gonna end up diverting to Northborough and, Marlboro and Northborough,
Yeah.
which will be nice to get out of our town.
Yeah.
There's some signage I'd like to see on 495 right after 117, which is instructing people, if you're going on 290, to stay on the right,
Yeah,
and to put soft barriers even, because a lot of what we get for accidents, I mean, I commuted this, and I had to go to
Yeah.
Worcester a lot, I went through this intersection
Yeah.
over and over. But really, the problem is, especially if you have people that aren't local, and this is the main thoroughfare up to
Yeah.
New England from the
Yeah.
mid-Atlantic New York, right? They're gonna come up through this way. So you need to tell the people to get to the left if you're staying on 495 and stay right for 290. And if you, those instructions, that's a simple sign.
Yeah, I think the issue we have is the fact of the bridge, because we're still going to have 12 or 1,500 feet only.
But it'll really help. It'll help with the accidents at 490, 62,
Yeah.
290, or 290.
Yeah.
Because people need, the drivers who are trying to do the right thing need to have an advance warning to stay right, because that's where you're getting, people that don't know,
We're trying to jump into the right
they're
lane
trying
from
to jump into it,
65.
and then they got all the
Yeah.
crazy mass drivers.
I mean, I think,
Not gonna let them be right.
yeah, I think 99% of them are people just trying to get advantage of pulling
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, I think so.
But I think the soft barriers would definitely eliminate that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, and I don't think the DOT would have to spend a lot for some signage right after 117, get people ready for it, that they're gonna get right, or either get right or get left. And because you lose visibility, when you crest the hill right at 62, you lose visibility, you don't know what's going on down there. And I've been there enough in commuter hours to, I used to punt and go down to 85 and make a U-turn if it was really bad.
Yeah, that's the strange one. I've used that 90 exit all summer. There's never a backup getting onto 90. Poor old Berlin is getting hammered. You go down there and you go,
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Right, but it
so,
takes like, it's 8
The-
more miles in 4 more minutes
Yeah.
on your
4 minutes,
phone.
it can't be that
so
much
the,
longer.
It
the-
isn't.
is Mass, Freddie, is Mass
Yeah.
DOT going to line this fall, or is that going to get pushed off to the spring now?
I reached out to Joe Frawley yesterday regarding it again, and I haven't heard back from him yet.
Right, so Pleasant Street's going to get relined at the intersection of Central Street and Pleasant Street. Basically, 11 years ago, we made that intersection super wide. We have a right turning lane, a left turning lane. The right turning lane can't see the traffic coming over the hill.
Yep.
So we have an issue, so we're going to merge it down to one lane coming out, which then will back up traffic, yes, but also then alert ways that there is traffic backed up, but will keep people possibly back on 290 to 495 versus getting off in Berlin. Because the issue we have is tractor trailers making a left from 62 onto Pleasant Street. The current design doesn't allow anything over like a 30-something foot trailer to make a left. But
Oh,
most
yeah,
of most.
backed up at that intersection plenty
Yeah.
of times. where
Yeah.
people's
Yeah,
ways,
yeah, so, like, years ago, we thought making things wider was better. But the state has learned that once you delineate traffic, you make it safer, slower, and more efficient. So we're gonna actually delineate that intersection. I know there's gonna be a lot of people upset when we get that intersection delineated, hopefully not residents, because it's actually for the better and the safety of us. And then those backups may cause ways to then redirect people elsewhere, versus coming up, getting up
If
to
only Tim
them.
would drive on the road in his tractor a lot more often, it would
Yeah.
get ways to breathe it. I've started following the
I
speed
volunteer, Tim, I'll
limit
drive your
everywhere.
Yeah,
And you cannot believe, so I'm like, okay, I'm annoyed on my
Yeah.
road, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna speed
Yeah.
on anybody's neighborhood road.
Yeah.
And I get passed on the left constantly.
Yeah.
I'm double yellow.
yeah.
I mean,
I believe
I
it.
can't tell you that, because they're gone. But I'm like,
Yeah.
really? I'm going the speed limit, you're gonna pass me.
Yeah, because I know a couple of years ago, before I became chief, I was asked to, when I was on patrol, I was asked to go down on Pleasant Street and do radar for a couple hours. And I went down to
all
radar,
residents?
and I made 5 stops. 5 stops in about 45 minutes. All 5 were residents. 3 of them were Pleasant Street residents.
Oh, wow.
1 was a Central Street resident, and the other was a West Street resident. My first 5 stops.
And I can tell you that too, because I
Yeah.
mean, living on Pleasant Street, I see my neighbors speed
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And, yeah, everybody's like, oh, let's talk about that person.
well,
Yeah.
Freddie, is there anything, you do a lot of reading about like guerrilla activities that you can do as a resident?
Yeah.
Meaning like plant flowers right on the berm. And so it kind of reduces the width of the road.
So the
people-
perception, doesn't,
The perception
the perception of the
road.
way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So can we do something like that as a resident without screwing up highway?
Yeah, I mean, if it's just a planting or something like that, there isn't an issue with it unless it's like a giant bush that's gonna grow into the traffic.
So it's something,
Trees.
So if you get
that
the,
don't
if you get the
worry about.
perennial grass that grows up 6 feet,
Yeah.
that's because it's annual, even though it's a perennial.
Right, so it won't be a
it's annual.
plowing issue.
Yeah.
Okay,
But you gotta remember too, if it's near your house, is it gonna be a visibility issue?
for me
to
too.
get out?
Right, yeah, we have the two driveways, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, actually, this time of year, everyone should be going slow, because we haven't had much roadside mowing get done.
Yeah.
So there should be a lot of growth up everywhere.
Mm.
But what you were saying, people are passing you, they pass us when we're putting salt down, when we're plowing, they're
Yeah.
passing us on South Street. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. I know we were young once, but I don't think we were that stupid. He's like, some of us were.
Yeah, you know, and from our standpoint, we've been operating at 50% personnel for several months. Fortunately, we did just hire one. We're making offers to two more, but they need to be trained, so you won't see them on the road till next July or August. But you know, we're working to get back up to full staff. Actually was able to get another additional officer. So we're going to be able to assign one person to traffic 4 days a week, but they're going to be alternating days. They're not, when I say 4, they'll be there 5, but we work a 4-on, 2-off schedule, so it'll include Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays, 7 days a week. It's just not every single day we're going to have a traffic car on. But you know, it's needed. I mean, we're running the same staff as when I came on in 1996 on the day shift. You know, we haven't changed our staffing levels on the day shifts for 28 years.
So if you have a traffic person, does that mean they'll be?
They're going to be dedicated. They're not going to be.
Hotspots?
They're not going to be taking calls unless it's a major call, or if they happen to be in the neighborhood of a medical or something, then they'll be able to go. But their primary job is going to be the ones to go out and do traffic enforcement.
And do we ticket almost everybody, or do we?
I just ran the stats. About 50%. About 50% get citations.
Can we up that?
Um,
No, I'm
Yeah.
being serious about, because I got pulled over in Northborough once on one of those roads that you cut through.
Yeah.
And ever since, I've been very cautious. I didn't get a ticket,
yeah.
and I'm very cognizant
Yeah.
of my speed. Of course,
Yeah.
I am everywhere.
Yeah, so it's like I explained, you know, not everybody deserves a citation. Citations are issued when needed. Remember, if I have an officer issue a $105 citation, that person appeals it to court, it then costs the taxpayers $280 to send that officer to court. And if they get found responsible at $105, we get about $48 of it. So, you know, we start upping and, you know, we can end up spending more money in traffic court than we can buying equipment like the speed signs to help reduce traffic.
So, I mean, from the FinCom perspective, let me just underline what Chief said. That
Oh, no, I
you know,
understand what he's
that's-
saying.
Especially at our staffing, and we've added, what, 1,200 residents since '96? How much has our population gone up?
Well,
1,000,
I mean,
roughly, so, you know.
I mean, it says we only went up 350 people in the last 28 years, but,
No, that's not right.
yeah, because when I started,
That's
the
not right.
population was 2,800, I think they're saying now it's 3,158.
No,
But-
we were growing 100 people a year for a decade
Yeah.
until 2000, and now we've grown 500 a decade.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
on the question of the citations, and then you need to go to court on appeals, I've been thinking about that quite a bit from the FinCom perspective as well, and I'd like to suggest that we just don't go to court some of the time, but do it randomly.
Yeah, that's not a
Can
good
we do that?
reputation. That's not a good reputation for the officers. That way, when they do show up, the judge is going to look favorably upon them, so.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you notify the court you're not going to be there.
Yeah, because they're going to say you're wasting our time.
Right. Chief, what percentage of people appeal a ticket?
It's up there. I mean, for the citations we write, I mean, we probably get probably half of the citations we write end up going for appeal. Clerks usually reduce the fines. Then out of that, maybe 20% go in front of a judge. So we're pretty active as it is with appeals. I mean, appeals definitely aren't there. You know, I think the major reason why appeals are made by people is if I write you a $100 ticket, you said, oh, you know what, I deserve it, here's the $100. then you get your insurance bill for the next 6 years. That $100 ticket just costs you $1,000.
Yeah, right.
So I think that's why a lot of people, we're actually making money for insurance companies writing citations.
And
And
people are working from home so they
Yeah.
can go to court.
Yeah, and that's always been a thorn in my side. You know, the red team sitting next to me gets a beautiful fire academy, you know, compliments of your homeowner's insurance. A portion of your fire portion of your homeowner's insurance pays for a wonderful, wonderful fire academy. There's not a single insurance company for motor vehicles that give us a dime for the police academy,
Yeah.
you know. So, yeah, so I'm not, you know, we end up becoming the #1 salespeople for insurance companies every year through citations, you know.
How did that happen? Like, how did it happen that it's a $104 citation that costs us $280?
So we have to pay the officer a 4-hour minimum to go to court.
Right.
Okay.
And then, you know, most, you know, and we don't get to pick, hey, I'm working 7 to 3 that day, can I have my hearing that day? They tell you when you have to have the hearing, and a lot of times it's your day off, you're like, oh, you gotta be kidding me, you know? Then you go to court, and the next thing you know, you get another summons, you know, delivered to you, and like, oh, I gotta go to court again next week on my day off, you know? So it's, you know, continually, it's at the court's leisure, it's not at ours. We do set up our hearings when our court officers are working. We're allowed to do that, but we can't set up judges' appeals.
Since you're understaffed, some of your cars must be sitting around, do you not just place them here?
So we have done that, we've done it. We've done that on the weekends, you know, usually Pleasant Street. You know, you'll see a car at Keys Road or down at the conservation land, and
As a matter of fact, on Pleasant Street, when they put the car there, I don't think it took Waze 5 minutes to identify that there was a police officer sitting there to let people know to slow down.
yeah,
Hey, chief, my driveway's available.
yeah. I mean, we got a kick out of it,
Yeah.
you know. But, you know, the other issue with short staffing is sometimes there's only one officer working. And, you know, they're not gonna drop a car off and walk a mile back to the station. You know, the last time I actually did it, I took the car down, and I think, did you pick me up, or
Yep.
somebody picked me up, left the car there, and
I'm always
we
available to
just
pick an
left it.
officer up.
Yeah,
But, yeah,
What a
that,
manic
another thing that somebody
police have.
suggested is that as a resident,
yeah,
I can say there's a cop in front of my house.
yeah, you can, on Waze.
Tag it on Waze.
But
and
yeah.
have my neighbor across
Yeah.
the street say,
Yeah.
yes, the cop is there too,
Yeah.
because they want you to confirm. it,
Yeah,
Which, you know,
yeah,
is a
yeah.
lot of work for a
Yeah.
trickery.
Yeah, so no, we've done it. We've put out those road cruisers out there, sitting there with the radars on and sitting empty.
Yeah.
That's so
I'd like to, my name's Mike Malloy, I live on River Road, and if you ever want to put a police car,
Yeah.
put one in front of my house.
Oh, yeah.
on, Bike
1790,
Pardon me?
1790 farm, right?
1795, yeah. There's been a lot of, and Jake breaks are another concern. Have you written out many tickets on Jake breaks?
We don't have the noise equipment to justify those yet. We're having issues with finding out which one the court will accept. You know, like, we can go buy a sound meter off of Amazon, but unless it's certified, then we're looking at the issues of certified, so they're making it difficult on us right now. But, you
Well,
know,
I got some repeat offenders that have
Yeah.
extremely loud exhaust
Yeah.
that come by on a regular basis.
And you have the same problem with citations for that too, I
They're
assume, right?
usually local people.
those stay local. Jake breaks stay local for our hearings officer locally. But, yeah, it is an issue when we have a part-time town hall staff, and, you know, people, you know, need accessibility to come in here during normal business hours, and our town hall's not open Monday through Friday, 8 AM till 5 PM, so, you know.
Could you add the handful of motorcyclists who seem to have nothing but a pipe coming out of the engine?
On the list.
As long as you're willing to pay for it.
You mean pay for the police salary for him to go to court?
And for the noise measuring tools, for all, you know.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean,
Yeah,
it's,
yes.
Can anything be done about West Street? It's a speedway,
Yeah,
and we were supposed to get a speed sign,
yep,
That was voted in the town meeting 2 years ago?
Yep, we
still don't have one.
yeah, we have two, actually, we just took one down on Central Street. We can put that one down, down by the Flat Penny. We can put that one up down by the Flat Penny. Yeah. Yeah, so we voted in those speed signs, and we bought them to be movable, and they end up becoming residents of those roads they were on, because there's just no way, with the data we're getting, they were actually 100% effective, and we didn't want to take them down. So, yeah, we didn't want to start pulling them down and having people pick up speed again, so, you know, we have, our issue now is, I don't have a truck anymore, but we use the fire department truck occasionally to replace the batteries. We do have to get them converted over to solar, so we're not running out every, well, in the wintertime, it's every 5 days. Summer, it's like 8 to 10 days that we have to change the batteries.
How do you change the speeding?
You talk about the speed limit?
The speed limit, yes.
Speed limit?
I sent a letter to the rep, state rep
Yeah.
and sent, and.
Yeah, so the speed limits are done locally. We tend to try to stay away from them because every time we've done a study, the speed limit's actually increased under state law.
That doesn't make any sense.
So you have to monitor traffic with the device. No marked cruisers, nothing there. Then so if the average, if you want a speed limit to be 30, say it's 40, you want to make it 30, and you put out a traffic study in that area, independent traffic study, no police involved, no sighting of cruisers, and the average speed is 45 of every car, the state then says the speed limit's 45.
So that means if the speed limit on a highway is 65 and everybody's doing 90, they're going to change it to 90?
No.
That doesn't make sense.
No, but if you did a traffic study, you probably would see a 75 mile an hour speed zone. So right now our speed zones are set by the state. If we show that traffic's going faster, then the state's going to say, okay, well then speed limit. It happened to us, we tried doing an area 25, state came back and said 40.
Where was that?
On Whitney Street. And the state came back and it completely backfired on us.
Because everybody was
not
getting in an accident comfortably going 40.
Correct. So then, that's why we get the data off these traffic signs. That's why we don't touch speed limits, because we just put up the traffic signs. Because if we go off the independent data, you'd see speed limits increase. They've been trying to pass a bill, from what I hear, where we're going to be able to set the speed limit zone across the town at 30 or 25 or 35, whatever the town comes up with. But, of course, we're waiting for our legislature to...
Because West Street, it's 40 in front of my house.
Yeah.
But right up the street in Clinton, it's 30.
Yeah.
And then, at the Four Corners there, it's like 30.
Yeah.
And so, as soon as people come around that corner, they're doing 50.
Yeah.
And Chief Gallivan, was that his name?
Yeah.
Sent me a printout
Yeah.
of all the accidents in the town, and it's like 10 times on West Street.
Yeah.
From that intersection.
Yeah, so you can remember, I mean, West Street covers from basically right out front here all the way out to the Clinton line. So every accident comes out, West Street. West Street is a high accident street along with Central Street. So a lot of times, like I said, I think we're better off, that sign is at your garage, right? Yeah, we'll get out probably next week. It's definitely not gonna be tomorrow. I know I can't go out tomorrow.
Yeah, hard days.
Yeah. So next week we'll throw a sign up down by the I'm gonna call it the train stop. I don't know what people call it now, but I still call it the train stop. But we can get a sign up down by the train stop next week.
Even a sign right before it.
Yeah.
That would say slow curve.
Yeah.
Because what happens when it gets icy, they don't make that curve.
Quite a few cars ended up in the parking lot of the restaurant. I was there for a couple of them, or through your cinder blocks and your logs, I've been there.
On top of the stone wall.
What is the cost, roughly, of one of those machines that's, let's say, a solar powered one?
So the smaller ones are really around $6,000, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're around 6,000.
Because the battery ones, we bought store for like 12,000.
Yeah. We paid $3,000 for the battery ones, but that was 3 models ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus,
And-
didn't we just put one at the school? Is that us or?
No, actually, I put in for a grant, and Freddie put those in.
Yeah.
That was a school safety zone grant. So that's how we got those. I mean, so they're only 24 years overdue.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a 100% grant. Was that $30,000 worth of equipment, probably?
Oh, at least that.
Yeah.
So those are more expensive than the ones you.
Yeah,
want.
much more, because those are interconnected. Those talk to each other or whatnot, so.
And they do the time of day or something.
Yeah, time of day and
school
stuff,
zone.
yeah, school zone, yeah.
So, as a resident, could I, make a request at the next town meeting for the additional purchase of more of
Well,
those
I
signs?
mean,
So you
that's,
can move them around?
that's actually why we're here, the Traffic Safety Advisory Commission. We can ask capital for money for signs.
Because, I understand that you have those state signs on Pleasant Street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which are temporary, but they will bring them back in the spring. They're just gonna pull them out for the winter months.
So they'll bring them back until the construction's
Until
done.
the construction's done,
By
yeah.
then, everybody will stop speeding.
Yeah, well, even if we asked for money, we wouldn't get it till next July anyways.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yes?
What causes most of the accidents on West Street?
They'll never admit it.
Yep.
But all distracted driving. Central Street, Pleasant Street, South Street, Lancaster Road, it's all,
It's all one?
it's all distracted driving.
Yep.
They'll never admit it, but the law doesn't allow us to look at phones, If I ask you, were you texting, and you say no, I have to end my conversation with you.
Oh, you can't actually look at their phone?
No. No, and then you go to court on the ticket, and then we have no
They
evidence.
say, I wasn't texting.
Yeah, then we have no evidence, so that they dismiss them, so, yeah.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah,
You wanted this job,
love
remember
it,
that, Sure.
love it.
I'm sure you're not buried with requests about this, but if you go past the cemetery on Pleasant Street, you can bear right to get onto Sawyer Hill Road.
Yeah,
That's a smart thing. It's one way. Having it the other way was asking for an accident because you had to do one of these things to see if it's safe to pull out, so that's great. Then at the end of that, there's a no left turn thing. I've never
Yeah.
understood why that got put up.
yeah, that was part of the River Bridge agreement, but we had discussed that. I actually got to bring that up with the board Monday
The no
night.
left turn sign is gone, but the no U-turn signs are still,
Yeah,
they're faded, but they're still.
yeah.
There's like an arrow that's got a white thing through it. What's that?
That's one that came down. That was hung right below the stop sign on the right-hand side.
Yeah, we took it down.
Yeah.
So a tractor trailer, say, could go there and then hang a left.
Could,
go
could,
back.
yeah.
But he wouldn't
Otherwise,
make it,
how
he'd
does he
just be
turn around
stopped.
if he
Yeah.
goes?
So that was a big aggravation of mine personally. I thought it made that intersection look absolutely ugly, and it was gross with the sign pollution. The amount of signs that we did with the River Bridge agreement on that intersection really took away from the character of the town. So we actually discussed that at the last meeting? The last meeting? Yeah.
That was the only sign we voted to have. removed.
Yeah.
So should we get rid of the U-turn one?
I was actually thinking that.
I mean, I'll make a
Myself,
motion
because-
that we get rid of the U-turn one if you want, because it doesn't seem like it's the same issue. right?
You gonna
Well,
second?
they're doing them anyway.
You gonna second it?
Grass.
Yeah.
Oh, I will definitely second,
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
because they're faded.
Decisions here.
Good job, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
You can call me Yui. No.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll change that in my phone.
Yeah, we'll write that one down. All right, so let's recap. We're going to talk to CMRPC about gates in 62. 1790 Farm is now going to be another place where we can park a car. And, just so you know, like my issue with this traffic, we've had an officer out injured on duty since last December 10th, when Waze took cars off of our highways, put them to the back roads of Berlin, and we had a 6-car accident on Story Hill Road. And our officer broke his wrist and tore the ligament in his shoulder. He's due to come back soon, but like, you know, so obviously, you know, I feel the pain
You feel the pain of ways as well.
of ways, you know, because that was 100% preventable. Like, who's thinking in a ice storm that to get off the highway where they use,
And
you
go
know.
through Sawyer Hill Road.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause that's an
and-
easy road to drive.
Yeah, so I remember it was a Sunday night, so I heard the accidents coming in, so I came out of my house, and I went to the accident on Sawyer Hill Road, because next thing I know, they're asking for an ambulance for the officer. Went to Sawyer Hill Road, and then from there, I went down a river road right by the 1790 farm for a car that went off the road. They were going from Worcester to Lowell, and Waze had them come off, and because of our accident at Sawyer Hill, it was sending down River Road to Gates Pond up to 495
Oh, my God.
to get off the major interstate. And, you know, so then I ended up, you know, fortunately I had a vehicle big enough to put the whole family in my cruiser and bring them back to the station. I think they were here for about 3 hours before anybody could come pick them up. And of course, you know, at a normal day, if the officer wasn't injured, I would have been more than happy to drive them to Lowell and drop them off.
Right.
But, you know, I couldn't leave because we still had 6 cars piled up on Sawyer Hill Road and an officer in the hospital. So, yeah, so I definitely feel the pain of Waze.
How many citations do you have any for drinking while driving?
Drinking while, oh, you mean like OUI, or are you talking about operating under the influence? Or are you talking about,
Sleeping while driving.
oh,
Open container.
very few, because it usually turns into an OUI, you know, so, you know. By the time we get there, they've either crashed or they've spilt it. So, you know, we actually have to watch them drink in order to write a citation.
Some have amazing capacities, because I
Yeah.
do a lot of roadside cleanup.
Yeah.
Sawyer Hill Road, up near the top one time,
Yeah.
just a very short stretch. I
Yeah.
found 8-quart Bacardi,
Yeah,
not old. They didn't have crud all over them. They had
Yeah.
obviously been recent. I'm thinking, I'm driving on this
Yeah.
road, and some
Yeah.
chooch was just down that, was
Yeah.
coming by.
yeah, I picked up 77 nips between my house and the cornfield where the maze is.
Yeah, we see that.
Just that one section of road right there.
Yeah, but
You know, and there's stone walls and like,
We voted to let them sell nips then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's, you know, like I said, we should have $1 return on every nip.
That's what I think it should be too.
It should be $1 return,
And then
not
the
a
kids
nickel,
would all-
not a
The kids
dime.
would all be rich, every kid in town would be rich.
Yeah, it should
Well,
be,
initially, they said that they would give us $1 for every nip bottle that we picked up.
yeah,
And that first season of picking up,
Yeah.
I think we turned in 700 or 800 nip bottles, and I said, oh, well, on
No.
second thought,
We turned in 1,500.
1,500, okay.
Every single year for the last 3 years
Whose
that
day?
we've done Earth Day.
Maybe the liquor store.
Turned in 1,500.
yeah, yeah.
So it was one of the liquor stores
They
that
give
gonna
us-
pay for it?
They-
Highland Commons was,
Yeah.
as a concession for our saying, oh, okay, because initially they were told, no, you can't sell nips.
Right.
But everybody else does.
Yeah.
So I said, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently they're a big moneymaker, because I know when we had that hearing a month ago or two, the last two to go out, they were pretty much adamant that they could sell nips. So apparently they're a big moneymaker.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like this much
Yeah.
liquor for $1, it makes
Yeah.
sense, but they're all over the road.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I think people would still pay the $1 deposit on those things.
Because of the convenience.
Yeah,
I mean, just use the money to pay for AA meetings.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
All right.
all right.
And what else? Okay, in West Street, Freddie and I will get that sign down there, hopefully by the middle of next week. I'm trying to think. Actually, I'm not around Wednesday, but yeah, either Tuesday or Thursday. Yeah, it's next Thursday. All right, I gotta write that one down. Is that the 19th?
It is.
And when is the relining on Pleasant scheduled? Is that spring?
I'm still waiting to hear back from the engineer that we've been in contact with. I sent him another message to him yesterday to find out, where we were. I thought I would have heard back quicker, because the last time we were conversing, he was like firing right back. So I don't know if he's away or just.
Okay.
Fred, my sense is that a lot of people are not keen on having Sawyer Hill Road repaved anytime soon, because it does slow people down a teeny bit,
Yeah, the upper part.
the whole thing.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I get a lot of complaints on the lower section.
Yeah, when Crosby wasn't paved, people went much slower.
Everyone wants their roads paved until it's paved.
Yeah.
Look at the people on Highland Street. I had so many problems trying to schedule that, you know, with the horse people and everything up there.
Well, all you need is more CSX crossings. The speed bump they put on Linden is great.
Oh my gosh, it's not very fast. You can, Jones Road, the same way.
Yeah. Jones is a little slower because you're mostly going, you have to turn. I'm hoping people are stopping there, even though there's no stop sign, which is
Somebody's skidding.
Yeah. I mean, I do like those, well, they call them what, traffic trays now? Like on South Street in Hudson, you know, behind Main Street.
Oh, yeah.
They have the traffic trays that keeps everybody
Yep.
20 to 25, and I think those
What
are
is a
great.
traffic tray? Is that the slightly raised
It-
where,
it-
and it's all ridged?
It's like the ones on Gates Pond. They're elongated, they're not a speed bump or
Yeah.
hump. They're, no,
they're permanent.
No, those are permanent.
They
The ones
put-
in Hudson are permanent.
Yeah.
But, you know, our issue is that, like, 62, we can't put traffic trays. And like, that'd be the perfect place. Center of town would be awesome to have 2 traffic trays,
I
but,
talked with the engineer that I met with for the capital streets about that.
but I don't know if the state would ever, Mass DOT would allow us to do that.
He pretty much said, the minute I got the last word out, he was like, no, they're not gonna go for that.
Yeah.
So we left that right out.
Yeah, because I'd love to take like the center of town and just like narrow it right up, you know? Maybe even put a nice little island in the middle,
Yeah,
and, you know, like, just,
Force people to slow because
Yeah.
they get,
yeah, I mean, you know, Florida started doing it right 30 years ago, because Florida delineated traffic 30 years ago. Most of it was to have, you know, 12-inch curbs to take care of the rainwater and direct it into the gutters, but it slows everybody down, keeps everybody at a slow, even pace, so.
And it's working, is it Route 12 that goes up in Keene over that way somewhere?
Oh.
Where it's like 50, 55, and they put a sign up that says 35, 30. And you come through this tiny little section because there's like, you know, 1 store and 2 or 3 houses.
Yeah.
And then it blasts right up again.
Yeah,
I slowed on coming through there.
yeah,
Yeah, there's no reason why we couldn't try something.
yeah. Yeah, as I said, I mean, back in the 90s and 2000s, we say, oh, let's just make everything wider and bigger. And, you know, we created a monster out of it. You know,
I don't see anybody racing through the circle on, in Hudson.
yeah, no, oh, God, no, no. No, that's for sure.
And why the stop signs at Fosgate Road and Gates Pond Road, that dead end road is Fosgate?
That's all part of the Highland Commons mitigation. Traffic trace, stop signs, whatever, it's all, that was,
negotiated.
it was all 2 chiefs ago. You know, it was negotiated back in the early 2000s.
Well, if you want to generate some revenue,
Yeah.
that stop sign on Marlboro Road and Gates Pond.
Oh, yeah, Marlboro Gates
No one
Pond, yeah.
stops.
They
Yeah,
just blow through.
yeah.
Because
Like it would be a
I'm
field
walking.
day for you.
Yeah, the only downfall is that, you know, like, when we sit there with a marked car, everybody
They
stops.
stop.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, true.
so. All right, am I missing anything else? I don't think so.
You can put me down to pick up any officer if they're leaving a car anywhere. I'll give you Marcel or, no, seriously, that's just,
Seriously, that's nice.
that's an easy thing to do.
Yep.
All right, put that one down. All right, so let's see, street sign request, did we make street sign
Yes, we
request?
got 3 of them actually. One of them just came in the other day for Highland Street. They're looking for horse crossing signs in the area of 227, which is the Clover Hill Equestrian Center, because they do cross horses from one side to the other, from the barn to the paddock. I would definitely suggest that we approve that one. Just because with all the work we've been doing up there, we see it constantly all day long. You know, there's always people out with their horses. And obviously now that it's paved, this actually says that, you know, people are going faster.
Right, so you're making a motion to put a horse crossing sign up by Cloverleaf Farm on Highland Street,
Yeah, they're requesting one on each side of the road, coming out of town and coming into town.
2 sides. Is that a second from Tim?
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous.
What kind of sign, Fred?
Horse crossing.
Horse crossing.
And then in June, we received one for similar sign, slow horses, for Summer Road. So it's basically the house on the corner of Summer and Sawyer Hill.
Yeah,
They house horses there. That's actually, I think, what you were referring to with the motorcycle.
There have been a couple of them.
Yeah, so a few riders up there.
Yeah, I know we ended up getting the person that was revving his engine. I know that. We got the complaints. I
Yeah,
know we
one
ended up-
horse, one horse threw its rider.
Yeah.
When they approached me about the signs.
So they'd be on Story Hill?
Yeah, because years ago, she was telling me one was put down by, I think the first house on the left. The brown one that also has houses.
Across from the cemetery?
Yeah, I know, no, I know what
Yeah,
you're talking
across
about.
from Kevin's greenhouses.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was thrown on that incident.
Yeah,
So they, years ago, she said they had put a horse sign up down there.
Yeah.
So when I went up to meet with them, it actually was a slow sign, not a horse.
yeah.
But they're requesting horse signs up there,
So if we put a horse sign at her house and then
and then one just up above,
just one up by Estabrook?
just before Estabrook.
Yeah, just for Estabrook, yeah.
So we're gonna make them the same just to be consistent?
Yeah.
No,
Because they're out there in 3 horse areas.
Yeah.
That street altogether.
I'll make the motion for that.
I'll pass it around, because she did do quite the write-up for it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll second
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, it's unanimous.
And then the last one came in, actually, this one I forgot to include at our last meeting, when you asked if we had some, and I said no, but it came in on April 5th. So this was for Alden Drive. I'll just read it to you. They're requesting speed limit signs, blind driveway, old wildlife crossing, children at play, slow. They're looking to have them at the Northborough Town line, blind driveway ahead, along Pleasant Street. And the reason for excessive speeding coming down the hill from Pleasant Street, from Northborough, dangerous for residents leaving Alden Drive. Along Pleasant Street, residents always feeling endangered while walking, jogging, cycling, etc. outside of Alden Drive. So the day we received this, I actually went down and sat in the entranceway. I was there for like 15 minutes. There weren't a lot of cars, and the cars coming down, I couldn't tell if they were speeding, but if they were, I still would have had ample amount of time to pull out. It's not a line of sight issue. You can clearly see to the town line in Northborough. So I think more or less it's a speed issue. I don't know if adding more signs down there would slow people down, if they're not adhering to the speed limit signs now. If it's something you want to talk about, put like a warning sign in. We could put a children's sign, but there's no children on Pleasant Street. They're actually on Alden Drive.
Mary, did you want to see those? Mary, did you want to see those?
No, thanks.
I mean, what time do you think? I mean,
I don't know what more you could put there. So there is the sign that shows there's a road on the right
yeah,
prior to it. And as a cautionary sign, you could put slow. If you want to put a children's sign in, that's about all we can put there.
so you think a slow
And
sign?
I think it's more a speed issue. If that's what they're concerned with.
But is that Pleasant Street, is that the name, is that called the one that connects from the intersection south of Pleasant? Is that, am I in the right part of town?
Yeah.
So that's, we call it Lower Pleasant,
Oh, okay, all right.
because Pleasant Street comes down, instead of going to the rotary, it crosses over into town.
So
Up to Whitney.
I use that occasionally, and one of the things I will say about that driveway is that you really don't see it in either direction when you travel that. You're on it before you see it. So maybe that speaks to my speed, does it?
Yeah, because I see Alden easily coming from Berlin.
Yeah.
It's the flip side from Northborough. where-
Actually, you're right, it's Northborough, you don't see it. And I don't know if we have signs that say something like traffic entering.
Well, there is the sign that shows the road with the entrance, the road coming into it.
Are there any words on it, or is it just the?
Nope, it's just a
graphic?
control sign.
So it's there.
So what do you think, a slow sign, both sides?
Yeah, I mean, it's something to start with.
Yeah, start with a slow sign.
How much do signs cost us? in
Too
general?
much.
Yep.
Well, generic,
So I just got. one-
$1,500 plus your time, I mean, what is it?
No, so
no,
the
not like
average
that.
sign alone goes anywhere from $60 to $120, depending on the size and what's on it. The post to put it on is $54.
And then setting two people out,
Yeah, yeah.
time, you know, I mean, I think I think it was probably at about $1,000 a piece to replace.
Well, I put $1,000 extra in our budget this year just for signs.
And that covers the one sign you put up? And then you're over budget?
So for the average sign, actually, I just ordered a street sign today. I won't know the price of that until it arrives, because it's a Jones Road. So, but
I'm
yeah,
just
they do get
curious.
very expensive.
They add up quick.
Yep.
I mean, we're already looking at what, 2, 4, you know, 6, and then we're already looking at $600 just in signs.
Yeah. It wouldn't have been bad a few years ago, because they changed the standard, they have to be retro-reflective. So even though your light shines on, it has to shine back. All the ones that we had extra weren't any good, so they weren't regulatory, we couldn't use them. So we have signs that sit there that we use when we're using cut torches. You know, we protect our floor with them.
Put them in your chip box too.
Oh, yeah, we put them in our chip boxes,
You can
whatever we,
line your chip box with them.
which is terrible.
But at least
All
you're
right,
not in the dump, right?
Yeah, exactly.
so is there a motion to put 2 slow signs up at Pleasant and Alden?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. All right, then we got one request. Resident would like a crosswalk at Pleasant Street and Jones Road to be painted in the roadway.
Where's it going to
Don't know.
go to?
Don't know, I just gotta,
Yeah, that was gonna be my question, is do we have the room there to put in a crosswalk and,
yeah, I mean, typically you
Have
have a
it.
crosswalk from sidewalk to sidewalk
Right.
or street to street, but we don't have it in there, so maybe we should ask more questions on that.
Yeah, that would put it right into the bank.
yeah.
Okay.
That'll be Mr. Diggins at his dog, I think.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking, because he's the only one that's really did want.
Well,
Yeah.
we, if we're out at Brewer Brook
yeah,
and we want to come back the road for some reason with the dogs, it's not easy to cross there from Brewer Brook to
yeah,
cross over, because, you know, cars are coming
Yeah.
pretty quick.
Oh, yeah, especially coming from the road.
Yeah.
yeah, around the corner.
But the other question I have is, what is the recommendation? So we walk a lot, and we tend to walk up Pleasant and then cross over and go into Brewer Brook at that 62 field. But if we're walking through town with our dogs, and then we come back, we're on Pleasant Street, and now we should cross Pleasant Street to be on the correct side of the road. But boy, you don't want to cross Pleasant Street when it's, but maybe with your new lines.
It'd be good to put a pedestrian crossing there, you know, we're onto the
Over
right
to
side of
the-
the road.
Well, we could fill out a form to ask for a crosswalk. I mean, we've had this discussion 50 times, and we're just like, where do you cross, you know? So we usually go kind of past Joni's, so that we're almost to the Ford's house, and then we kind of like, okay, we should cross there, because at least people can kind of see you.
Yeah, line of sight.
Oh, it's definitely fine. Just walking from our house to the center of town is absolutely nuts. Because people are like, well, you're on the side of the road. We don't need to move out. And they just, God, if I'd stepped out, I'd be dead.
Like the chief said, they're all, not all, 50% are on their phones. You're like,
Well, and that's it.
Yeah.
So you're
they're
so
driving and
afraid.
they're looking at their phone.
Yep.
But,
It's not bad, oh, you smell
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's, all right, so we'll think about that. One
Which the
request.
Supreme Court says we're not allowed to order people out of the car just because we smell it.
What? You can't order them out of the car?
No.
So you have to see it?
Nope. No, yeah, you have to actually see it in order.
You have to see them smoking it,
The
like
smell
the drinking
alone,
bottle.
smell alone does not indicate whether or not the person is operating on the influence or not, or if they're in mere possession of it.
Oh, because they could have been next to somebody at
Yeah.
the party who was smoking.
Yeah, or they could have just dropped somebody off that was smoking in their car.
Right, they
yeah.
got out of the car, right?
That's our lovely Supreme Court in Massachusetts.
Helping you.
Yeah. Yeah, being proactive. Yeah. All right, complete streets?
So we have started the process of a project uptown. Kristen actually brought in Howard Stein and Hudson for the program.
This is the sidewalk recommendation.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So years ago, the state created this Complete Streets program, and Berlin.
It's a general store right there.
First stage,
Okay.
which.
19
meant there was a
Library.
delegate
Yep.
group,
Woodward,
attendance and
Town
training,
Hall.
And then we developed a prioritization
Can we-
plan. This was back 5 years.
Can we do what they do down south, like they put in the, like narrow, for crosswalks and
I know,
parking
yeah.
And we
spaces?
worked with Central Mass
Oh,
on
yeah,
that,
absolutely.
and we outlined primarily
No,
focused on sidewalks in the center village, but extending out, and it created a 24, 26-step project list, and then identified how those might be played out over time, and what the estimated cost would be.
Yeah.
This was
should
those
be
dollars.
going all the way down, delineate the
And
road.
that
Yeah.
made you, with that plan, eligible to apply to the state for funding to support these projects. And you can get some serious money out of the program. But you needed to engineer the stuff. And, you know, we've sort of played with it off and on, but this opportunity to work with these folks from Hudson is ideal, because Fred's discovered that they're really willing to do a lot for nothing.
Cost effective.
Oh, yeah, it's very. So he actually came out and met with me before any money was even agreed upon or anything. He actually came out and met with me, and we discussed, you know, where we should be and what our projects are. And then once he determined that we do, you know, we're a pretty good candidate for it, that's when he went back and reached out to Kristen, and that's when we agreed to actually commit with them. So that would have been, I think it was like $4,300 just for that console. That they weren't going to charge us if we weren't going to have a parking.
Nice.
So very nice. And one of the gentlemen actually used to be the superintendent in Spencer. So he's been in the field a lot, he knows. And when we were going through it, we met in the center of town. And we're up across from the store, and he's just like asking random questions, you know, can you put a bike rack up here? Yeah, of course, we have room for a bike rack. Good, those are points. So every little thing you add to it gives you points towards like a rating system, I guess they use for determining whether or not you get it. So I thought that was really good. The sections that we discussed was doing Woodward Ave, the whole stretch of Woodward Ave from Central Street all the way to where the library would be, creating a new sidewalk there. I don't have the estimated cost. Actually, I do. So we have that as one part of the project. The other one was coming from where the cemetery stopped, coming up that side of the road, and going up to like where the Berlin General Store is. And by doing that, and we're gonna have a bump out there and on the opposite side, because
Okay.
when we had, I guess it was a shared streets grant, a few years back when we had the center of town, like that trial one way, we were able to get the RFPs for the automatic crosswalks. So we still have those, but we couldn't put them in because there was no way to protect them. So he has actually written it into the proposal for the grant that, you know, we will acquire all these. So it shows that we're making the effort to purchase this stuff, but in reality, we already have it.
So
that-
they'll create a bump out which will narrow the road a little.
Nope. So the bump out should actually be almost in line with what the sidewalk would be.
Okay.
There shouldn't be any protrusions, except for maybe the one right across the street, because where Carter Street comes off, it ends right at the telephone pole, and then rounds the corner and goes in to the sidewalk. So there was parking right next to that park bench side. That'll probably be the only bump out, would be on that side.
Is this going to make us go one way down Woodward?
Nope, we haven't discussed anything about which way any traffic's gonna flow. This is just for doing,
Yeah, because we put it in sidewalks, and we definitely can't park
Yeah.
cars and go two-way traffic.
Right. Well, no, there is a possibility because we would be taking our right-of-way land.
Yeah, oh, no, yeah, no, what I'm saying is that with the cars parked the way they park, I mean, you get down to one lane halfway down. So if we put a sidewalk in, we're gonna be down to less than one lane,
No,
down
the
towards the
sidewalk
end.
will be off the edge of the road for what's there now.
With angle parking, right? Angle parking and the sidewalk need to be on.
So the sidewalk.
Oh, is it gonna be on the church side? The sidewalk will be on the
No, it's
church?
gonna be on the other side.
The opposite side?
Yeah. It's gonna be on the side that all the existing sidewalk is on,
Okay,
because that's gonna continue.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right up in the
Okay,
corner.
right. I just like, it's so blended in with the road that when we finally delineate it, yeah, I think that's
Well,
when.
no, this is a raised curb.
Yeah, this is all raised curb and
Yeah,
everything.
which then the parking
Yeah.
will come into play, so that's gonna be
Yeah.
an issue on your end.
I'm not the one taking out the lines, you are. It's
Oh,
DPW.
no, in Carvin, there's gonna be no on-street parking because you can't park anywhere. When the curb and the sidewalks put in, where are you gonna park?
Yeah,
When they park in the street, then you're gonna have to take it up.
yeah.
But the Central Street sidewalk, as proposed, is $185,000. The Woodward Ave sidewalk is $200. The little section for Carter Street was $25,000. So far as that's what we're going for anyway.
She's talking $410,000 to put sidewalks in the center of town.
Yeah, and the grant is up to $500.
Oh, okay.
So like you were saying, if you're awarded the full 500, the state, chances are the state doesn't usually take it back. So you can use that as start for another project.
And you can, and this isn't a one-shot deal. I mean, you can go after these on a fairly routine basis, and a lot of towns do. So, you know, as we continue to work with these guys, and they continue to prioritize, you know, we could continue to apply and
Yeah, because on the plan that CMRPC put in, it looks like we're actually behind
yeah,
on where we should be this time.
yep. No, we had a timeline that started off just a couple years after the plan. But, I mean, it addresses the center, then it talks about Pleasant Street, trying to get down to
Up to
Northbrook.
Northbrook, yep.
And then even beyond that, all the way down to South Berlin, with the notion of trying to make the town more walkable, so.
Yeah, because, I mean, unless you're a real biker even, I mean, this was 20 years ago, I wouldn't let our kids bike on Pleasant Street.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with a sidewalk maybe. So are these gonna be like granite curbs, or are they gonna be,
Yeah, so it'll be a vertical raised granite curb.
so these are gonna be nice,
Yeah, with
nice
ADA
sidewalks?
compliant.
That's pretty tricky on Pleasant Street, you're gonna be into people's yards most of the length of it.
Oh, I'm gonna worry about that when we get that far.
Yeah.
Well, the
I think
hard
most
part
of the
really-
people would be okay taking the yard for a sidewalk on Pleasant
Well,
Street.
that was a nice new wall.
No, his wall's far enough back,
I
Denny
was
made
already-
sure of it, don't worry.
Diddy told me many years ago where to put that wall. Behind the tree.
Yeah, where to put that wall is exactly what Denny told you.
The challenging section is gonna be up in Carterville to replace the existing one there up in front of Wilkinson's old place. Because you can't get an ADA sidewalk behind the telephone pole. And trying to get them to move all the poles, that's gonna be a nightmare.
You know, I'm also fascinated. You go through Clinton and some of the places where sidewalks have put in this, you know, great new ADA compliant sidewalk, then the damn telephone pole is sitting there and makes it, yeah, completely inaccessible. So, I did, you know, but you're right. I mean, it's one of the things that we have to work seriously at, trying to figure out strategy.
But you don't want to not do anything because of one example. I mean, I was reading something by somebody, a woman in a wheelchair, and she's like, you know, ADA shouldn't stop people from trying to do stuff. You don't want to handicap everybody, so to speak, by, you know, not doing the right thing because you are trying to prep for.
Exactly, just because it's challenging doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fred, I wasn't writing fast enough. What were the three cost figures for those three stretches?
200, 180, and 25.
I need the zeros part. 200 what?
Oh, yeah.
385,000.
Sorry?
Oh, yeah, was it 280, 285, 100,000, and, I know, I came out 410,000.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the ballpark.
Yeah, it was like 185,000, 100,000, and 25,000. I know it's more than that.
Yeah, one is 185,
That's right.
Okay,
and then 200,
yeah.
and then the final one is 25.
How much?
25,000.
And those are all thousands, 25,000, yeah.
No, they're just
exactly.
dollars, Mary.
Hey, there's a book over there, right there on the shelf, where people's pay was like 63 cents a year. I think it's from 1903. There's a book over, the town report book over there. You know,
Yeah,
Thank you.
somebody fed the fire department for 48 cents,
yeah.
you know, like at a house fire. You know, it's like, wow.
Those days are
I'm
done.
glad to hear Tim say you can go back to the well for more requests for sidewalks, because I'm still hoping at some point someone will figure out a way to get sidewalk from Northbrook Village Complex over to the south. It'd be
Yeah,
wonderful
I mean-
access to the center of town.
There's times when we talk in the Complete Streets, conversations about ways to go from the school to Pleasant via Northbrook 1 and 2, but that's a private entity, and
Right.
so you'd have to get buy-in and understanding from a lot of parties as to how that would be dealt with in terms of liability and stuff, so it's not as, ideally, that would be the way, because it would take anybody from Northbrook, off the streets and up through and over to the school, to the center.
Would it ever be considered critical enough that you could actually take a eminent domain, just the right of way for the,
Yeah, I don't
and
know.
the town assumes the liability?
Bob, I would like to see, not on Pleasant Street, but I'd like to see a circular walkway around the school at South Commons with an entrance over to Northbrook Village. So you could never go on the street, you take a little
Right, right.
path out of the
I wonder
village.
if that'd be something for conservation to do.
Well,
You can walk it.
Re-
There's a path.
Recreation,
It's just not a-
Recreation had a
Yeah.
proposal for a
Yeah.
circular
Yeah.
walkway, which I think we really ought to have. I think it's a
Yeah.
great place to have it because there's parking there, it's, at the school. And it does tie Northbrook Village by walking to the center of town.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, but not by sidewalk down Pleasant, but this
No.
would be,
But
No.
he's-
Yeah, no, that's right, he was talking about through the woods. It's remarkably close. Northbrook 2 is remarkably close to the salt shed, or not the salt shed, the field behind.
yeah,
Like, it's a stone's throw, legitimately,
And
so.
that might be CPA money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I get conservation back, something like that.
Pony can find that
But
trail.
you still need to address
The town needs
how to deal with the privately owned land that goes through Northbrook that allows you to get to Pleasant, which would be the ideal condition, because then you could continue on down Pleasant somehow and end up in South Berlin with a sidewalk.
yeah. Well, this doesn't mean
This just gets-
exclusive,
right.
I mean, you could do both,
It
but.
doesn't, but it doesn't allow people to cross Northbrook as a public access.
Right.
So that's a question that needs to be,
Oh, I see, you want an access to Pleasant that is available to anybody.
well, if you make the effort to try to get out of the center down through South
Sure.
Common by utilizing that, and, you could join up with Keys Road, and so people from that pocket could get over onto South Common and use this access down to Northbrook.
See,
But
that's why they want that crosswalk at Jones and Pleasant.
Mhm.
To get us there.
Yeah.
But you're right, Tim, you want to be able to connect the south part into the center, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a conversation that needs to take place at some time.
Yeah.
Right, we got a meeting come up in a few more minutes, another one. But traffic and infrastructure plan, I think we've kind of already discussed that with that. Any other business?
So can I just ask the streets thing? I know it's at the speed of the state and the government and all that stuff, but what is the outlook for what you're talking about there, Freddie?
The
Those sidewalks?
timeline, I'm not sure about, because they just submitted the grant, so I don't know how long it takes for them to review and actually get back to us. Well, once I find out, I can definitely reach out to you. Just so you know.
Is our state senator and state rep in on the advocacy for the town?
That I don't know. That would be a little bit above me.
Above your pay grade.
Yeah.
Those funding cycles are annual, so, the likelihood is that if we did get accepted, it'd be money that might be available next year in the physical cycles.
Yeah, but the problem is that once you get the money, then you have to go out to bid. And by the time you get the bids back, and by the time the contractor that wins the bid says, oh, well, I can do that in July 26th for the same price, you know? Yeah. Yeah, it's,
Yeah, everything seems to take a while now.
yeah.
But, I mean, the good news is that the plan's been in place for a long time, but we haven't had the capacity to do the engineering and the submittal and stuff, so we're way, way ahead of where we've been for the last 5 years. So
Yeah.
this is great.
No, good job, Fred.
We'll catch up eventually.
We appreciate it, yeah.
So is that all?
Thanks,
Is that it? Anybody else have anything else?
The only thing new on the South Street Bridge is the latest thing was the test boring's been done, and we still don't have a projected construction date. I think right now we're doing the 9
Yeah, for some of you guys that knew, South Street, the bridge down before Jones Road leaving here, is going to end up getting replaced, but we're talking, what, a 2-year shutdown, 1-year shutdown?
Well, originally it was supposed to be the fall of this year. Last I knew, they bumped it until spring of next year, but I still think it might be fall of next year.
Yeah.
As long as you guys drive down Pleasant Street to avoid South, that would be really helpful.
Yeah,
That's
so,
really good.
so yeah, as a heads up, I mean, there may come a time, even this winter, where the state says you need to shut the road down. You know, so South Street will be closed, which is gonna take the, how many thousand cars use
Probably
South Street? 4,000 cars that use South Street will then
Be on Pleasant.
divert to Pleasant, yes.
But we only have 8 now,
Yeah.
so it's not really a problem.
Well, no, they won't bring CMRPC back to do traffic counts.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You want to do it.
Some will do Crosby, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you'll lose
Yeah.
that traffic from the 290 project, because that'll be
Yeah, it's
over, and
gonna
they'll all
even it
just stay
out.
on the highway, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'll take a motion to adjourn at 5:25.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, and we will get out, we'll advertise another meeting once we figure out our schedules for next month. Yep.
Tim said he's never advertising again.
Yeah.
We just throw a shout out to the highway
Yeah,
department.
oh yeah, they're great.
Talk about working short staff.
How responsive they were. My wife called, we had a big pothole on Gates Pond Road, and the entire cars were being swallowed.
Fred.
No,